Talk about when I was about 5 years old. The things I had to go through with my grandma. Only just about maybe 3 days. But this is when I was in Head Start, I believe. And I used to get dropped off at my grandma's house. So I used to go there by bus while my parents were working. And I used to stay there, wait for my parents to pick me up. And I'd get off there. Before, everything was good with my grandma. I never had problems with her. I never had nothing wrong. When I got off there one day, I can't remember just if this was the first time I was there. I can't remember if I got dropped off there before. I assume I did since I was going to school. I just remember this day because it's turned out to be a bad day between me and my grandmother. I got dropped off there. I remember going inside. The back door was on the side of the house. And there was an alleyway that ran by the back door. And the front door was in front of the house and the alleyway, you know, parking lot was in front. So this side would be the front door, and this side was the back door towards the alleyway. When I got off there, I'd go in. Usually went in the back door. And one time I went in there, and everything was good. Um, I didn't see anything wrong. I didn't feel anything. Like something was going to happen. Like there was something wrong somewhere. I hear anything, and no fighting, no cussing or nothing. Nothing was going on. But I went in there, and I asked. I can't remember if I asked or if I just. I think I pushed my way through my uncles because they were doing dishes, and I wanted a drink of water. And I was just about 5 years old when I did this. I can't remember saying anything to my grandma. But I remember doing this, and I think that's what pissed her off. She came at me, and it caught me off surprise, caught me off guard. I didn't expect that from her. I know now that maybe I shouldn't have done that, you know, you should have pulled me aside and told me not to be doing that, teaching me. Because I didn't have the knowledge they did, just 5 years old, so I didn't know that I shouldn't be doing things, that, well, anyhow, I did this, and my grandma got mad at me. And I turned around and I seen her hollering and cussing at me. And then she started coming towards me. So I headed outside the house to the door by the alleyway. And she continued to come at me, towards me, trying to get at me. Like trying to physically grab me. I don't know if she was going to hurt me. I just know that she was trying to physically grab me. And I do believe that she might have been trying to hurt me if she got a hold of me. But anyhow, I was scared. I was scared. Um, I was standing in the alleyway. That's so far I went out. I was standing in the alleyways. I remember looking back at the house. There was a bench on the side of the house, the door. and then there was the door, and my grandma was trying to come through that door to get at me. I was scared, afraid. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what I did. Well, I assumed that's, well, later on, I assumed that's probably what I did, was trying to get a drink of water, forcing my way in there. But anyhow, I was standing there, and I didn't know what to do. I was afraid. Didn't know what I should be doing. Should I go somewhere else? Or I didn't know where to go. So I stayed outside there. And all the cussing and hollering was going on. My grandma was trying to come at me yet through the door, and my uncles were holding her back. They pulled her back inside. And she went out of sight for a while. So I don't know if they pulled her, how far they pulled her into the house, because I never went back in. And I remember one of my uncles telling me to sit down on his bench. To sit there and wait for your parents to pick you up. So I went and I sat there. And I was thinking, oh, what was happening? What was going on? What did I do? I didn't know it then, but later on I'd think about it, and realize maybe that's what I did. But after I thought about this too, I was thinking that wasn't very much. They could have pulled me aside, told me not to do that. Teach me what was right, not wrong. Show me if I did something wrong. Teach me I shouldn't be doing that. Because I was just a little boy. I didn't have the knowledge they did. 5 years old. But anyhow, I thought, after thinking about this many times, how I triggered her, or I think that's what it might have been, a trigger. That she might have had something in me, or against me already, towards me, how she might have felt. I didn't know this. But when I did that actions that day, by forcing myself in between my uncles trying to get a drink of water, I think that might have been enough to have her explode on me. So I figured she must have had something there already against me. What I'd done, I have no clue. Just a little boy. I couldn't have done much to cause somebody that's a grandmother to want to hurt you, and be mean to you. So after sitting there on that bench, she kept trying to come at me. And I remember my uncles telling me to go stand out in front of the house. There's a shed in front of the house, the front door. So I said, okay. I went out there and I stood up in that shed. I do remember standing in front of the house a few times. And I remember seeing her trying to come at me through the trees. There was like little bushes of trees there on the side of the house and in the front. I do remember looking through those trees and seeing her coming towards my way. I do remember my uncles grabbing her, I think, and pulling her back into the house again. But she was still trying to come at me. Even though I was in front of the house, I was still afraid. I was still afraid. I can't remember if I was trying to run away or what. I know, well, I don't think I did that, but it might have crossed my mind. But anyhow, I remember standing in that shed, and I stayed in that shed. But I kept looking around the shed because I couldn't see, because the windows were high. I couldn't stand it tall to see them. I remember peeking out the shed, looking around the corner of the house, to make sure she wasn't coming around the house anymore. I remember doing that. I remember looking up. The windows were up high. They had the window up high, and I remember them peeking out. And they'd close the curtain every time I peek out, or look up at the window. They close the window on the door, the curtain. They close it. So I knew they were watching me. I'm gonna stand there and wait for my parents to pick me up for about an hour, and I must have got dropped off about after 3. My parents got off work after 5. That's when I used to get picked up, so I stood there for a while. I remember standing there thinking about, why is my grandma mean to me? What did I do? No. Back then I didn't know. Like a young boy, I didn't have that knowledge. Like an adult does, when you do something wrong. I might have thought maybe I did something wrong, but anyhow, I got picked up. I can't remember if I told my mom. I believe I might have told my mom something. I just can't remember. But the reason why I say this now is because I'll explain it later. And the second day I got dropped off there, it was still the same. I had to sit outside. I wasn't allowed in the house. I had to sit outside. I remember when my uncle's trying to give me a cup of water, asking me if I wanted a drink, but I didn't want it. I refused it, so. And that day I remember it started to rain, so they made me go stand in the front in the shed out of the rain. I couldn't go in the house. I guess my grandma was still mad at me, that mad. Kind of makes you feel sad when you have to go through something like that with people who are part of your life, and your grandparents or your grandmother. So I stood in the front. I really didn't know what to think. Being a young boy, just having to go through this, trying to figure out what was going on. Why was why was my grandma so mean to me? My uncles, they kind of had a mean streak in me, for me too. I didn't feel comfortable around them. Just the way it was, just the way I felt. Like I felt something was there, and there must have been. Well, my grandma, only thing I can think of is that there must have been something, or she must have had something in her towards me. Just that little thing I did pissed her off, made her come towards me. And I think she was drinking too, so I'm not too sure now, because I can't remember seeing alcohol, but I think she might have been drinking. But I stood outside just wondering what was going on. Why do I have to stand outside? What did I do? Back then I didn't know, but after a while I thought about it. I sort of figured I must have triggered her by doing that. I sort of figured she must have had something in towards me that I didn't know of. What I've done to do this, make her feel this way towards me, I have no clue. No clue. But the only thing I can think of that she already had it in for me, and I didn't know it. And just that little action I did by trying to get a cup of water triggered her and made her come towards me, trying to hurt me. She never got a hold of me, which I'm thankful for. I don't know what might have happened. But the second day, I got picked up. You know, each day they all waved at us like nothing happened, like everything was all right. That's the first day and the second day I was there. They waved at us. You know, when I did wave at my grandma stand by the back door and wave, wave at us, and I'd get in between my parents when I got in the truck, and they everybody wave and talk and friendly, being nice. But I can see by looking at their faces that they give me just this little look, like you know what you've been through with us, like are you gonna tell? Are you gonna say something? You know, that kind of a look. Even from my uncles, I remember just seeing their faces like that. I don't know if they're trying to make me get scared or, by their looks, to not to try it or not to say anything. So, but I'm pretty sure I said something to my mom. On the third day, I got dropped off there, now standing in the front again. And I got picked up. Oh, also too, I wasn't all. I think a few times I got to use the bathroom, just to go inside of the bathroom, to directly to the bathroom, and outside the door again, to the front door. And after that, a few days after that, just using it for a few times, I wasn't allowed to use it anymore. They wouldn't open the door for me, even though I seen them looking out at me. They wouldn't open the door for me. So I did used to go to be outside my grandmother's house, and they'd be beating on the window, telling me to knock it off. I wouldn't be doing this if he opened up the door. Well, I had to go through that too, wondering why they wouldn't open the door for me. You know, just wondering what was going on. Being a young boy, didn't know what to feel. Didn't feel good. I didn't feel okay being around there. Felt sad, what I was going through. Like wondering, why do I have to stand outside? But that's what I had to do. I don't know if everyone had the same feeling towards me, the way my grandma felt towards me. I assume it might have been possible, but I really don't know. I just know I didn't feel comfortable around my uncles. There was just that feeling there all the time, even throughout our lives. Like I said before, you see uncles and nephews run into each other and they give each other a hug, a handshake, happy to see each other. Me, it would, be okay with seeing each other, like say, hey, hello, how you doing? Okay, no stuff. Wasn't no handshake, wasn't no hug, none of that. I don't remember ever doing that with my uncles. It's just more like, hey, how you doing? Okay, yeah, fine. That's it. Just standing there, not giving each other a hug or a handshake. I've seen that from other friends I had with their aunts or their uncles. How they give each other hugs and handshakes and be glad to see each other. Me, it was just like, well, how you doing? Fine. What you? Okay. All right. That's it. But the third day when my parents picked me up, I know I did say something because I think this is the day I know this is the day my grandma she started getting mad. I know there was an argument that broke out there between me and my parents and my grandmother. I can't remember how it went, but I know there was something that went on. And words were said. I can't remember the words, but I know there was hollering and stuff between my dad and my mother and grandmother. I don't know if my uncles were involved, but I knew there was something going on. I mean, it wasn't a good situation. Anyhow, when we pulled away, much of my mom turned to my dad. So this is how I know I must have said something to my mom, because she turned to my dad. She said, "Well, he must have been right, everything he was telling us." So I knew I must have told my mom what was going on at my grandma's, although I don't remember it. Because when she said that, I remember those words. I remember them today. I still remember looking up at her when she turned towards my dad and said, "He must have been right what he was telling us." So I'm sure I must have said something to my mom about what I was going through with my grandma's. I think that's the last time my grandma watched me. Anyhow, the way it made me feel afraid, scared when she was coming at me, trying to get at me, trying to hurt me. Felt unwanted. Felt like I didn't want to be there. Felt like I wanted to go. I didn't know where to go. It's just a 5-year-old boy. I didn't know what to do. I'm sure that I believe at one time, I do remember some tears flowing as I was standing by the car, and there was a big tree by the car, and I remember standing there in front of the house. And I do believe I was crying. So that must have been some feelings I endured during that time when I went through what I was going through with my grandmother. In order to bring them tears out. I know I was fear and being scared and afraid being at my grandma's house or what might happen to me. Sadness, feeling hurt, not feeling okay being there, just that uncomfortable feeling. After I think about this as I got older, the only thing I could think of was that there must have been something my grandmother already had for me that she didn't like. Or maybe she didn't like me at all. And just that little action I did, they could have pulled me aside, told me that, "Hey, you shouldn't be doing that, teach me something." But I didn't know that. I was just a 5-year-old boy. Learning, learning. But they should have pulled me aside, taught me something, taught me to be more nicer. But that was never happened. Instead, like I must have triggered her or something, because she sure came at me, cussing and hollering at me. That's the only thing I can think is that there must have been something there more that I didn't see or feel that she had against me or something. That time it just must have just pissed her off, and she She started coming at me and cussing at me and hollering at me, trying to get at me, trying to. I don't know what she would have done if she got a hold of me. I don't know. She might have tried to hurt me, maybe spank me, you know. But that was the only thing I could think of. That there must have been something more that I didn't know during that time, being a little boy. That she had something in there for me that she didn't either like me or something. I have no clue what I've done. Just 5-year-old boy, you know. Most grandparents are happy to see their grandchildren. That's some of the things I had to go through with my grandmother. There are others, but this is the one that sticks out in my mind the most because, like I said, scared, hurt, sad. Didn't know what to think. Trying to think, why am I? What's going on here? You know, what's happening? Why do I have to go through this? Why am I? Why you know this? Why am I going through this with them? That's the only thing I could think is that there was something more that I didn't know of. It's true I didn't feel comfortable around my uncles most of my life. Yeah, I didn't. But yeah, there must have been something more there that I didn't see. And when I did that action, it pissed my grandmother off. Only thing I could think of that she was carrying more. I don't know. I can't want it. I can't. I don't know if I should say hatred or dislike. Maybe she didn't like me. You know. Maybe she didn't hate me, or maybe she did hate me. I mean, maybe she did. I never heard those words from her though. When you're a little boy and you have to go through something like that, it kind of makes you feel hurt, sad. Like I didn't know what to think. You know, I was just a young boy trying to cope with what I was going through with my grandmother, trying to do my best, although I didn't know much. Well, my uncles did protect me though. I gotta say that they did, even though I didn't feel comfortable around my uncles either, but they did. Developed sadness from this, hurt, feeling unwanted. Something I had endured from my grandma. That sticks out of my mind the most. There's other things, but that sticks out of my mind the most. Only thing I can think of that hurt me. Only thing I can, you know, as a young boy, fear, being afraid, scared. I didn't know what to do. No, that 5 years old. I can remember that like it happened yesterday. That's how much is seared in my mind. How much I remember it the most. Like it just happened yesterday. None of you have to go through something like this with your grandparents. Give you a lot of hurt and pain, sadness later on. Feeling unwanted by your own family, not cared for, loved. Maybe even hated. No, by them. I don't know, but that's why I felt. Because this memory was with me throughout my whole life. And every time I think about it, it just didn't seem to be good all around. And I don't know what I've done to make my grandma so angry at me. The only thing I said, like maybe there was something there that I didn't know of. Maybe she already had it in for me. Maybe she didn't like me. Maybe she did hate me. I don't know. Like I said, none of those words are ever said to me by her, from her, towards me. She might have. I don't think so. I can't remember her ever saying stuff like that to me. So I don't know. I know she was drinking, and I know alcohol can bring out the worst in people. So you have to go through that as a little boy with your own grandmother. It's just traumatizing. That's why I remember it so much, like it was like yesterday. So bad I was hurt by it. No, I just hope none of you have to go through that and experience that. It's not a good feeling. That's something that you wouldn't want to remember like I have to. But it's something my experience I had experienced with my own grandmother on my mother's side. I will let her go here, and thank you. Have a good day, everyone.